Money, 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 money.
What's that?
Money. Root of all evil? No, it's not. Okay, so first of all, this video is in honor of my brother, my older brother, God bless him, Igal Ben Yael V'Yoam Chassid, who has given me unconditional love throughout my life, and as importantly, unconditional support in everything that I've done. And he was the first person who taught me how to negotiate. I wanted to buy a watch, and he just taught me the core of negotiation. So my big brother, thank you very much. So making a ton of money. We had a talk about financial abundance. If anybody's not seen it, I think we're up to 30,000 views. Thank you very much, Rabbi. Making money is good. It's not bad. Why?
There's so much you can do with money. And it's the way God intended it, so there must be some divine purpose to it. Yep, there's it's no shame to be poor, but it's no great honor either. That's from the Talmud.
So it's okay to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
I just read a funny, great book, Gary Eisler, living with a seal for 30 days. He lived with a seal. And there's a great quote in there. Money amplifies the person. A good person who's got a lot of money will be a better person. A person who gives a lot of money away will become a person who gives. And a person who's kind of special will become more special. Is that how you find it as well?
That's true. But there's something today's billionaires, multi-billionaires, they serve a great lesson, because the amount of money they have makes it so obvious and undeniable that it can't possibly be all for them, right?
They can't spend it, that's for sure. Even 10 generations can't spend the type of wealth that people have accumulated.
So you have to come to the conclusion that sometimes your money was never meant for you.
And is that the Jewish way?
That is the divine way.
So it's not just Jews who have to give charity.
And it's not just charity either. Like if you have,
in fact, it's not the word
if you have a
charity,
lot of wisdom, it was all meant for you. See, all of a sudden we can think it's my wisdom, but who says it was meant for me? It's my love, but was that for me to love myself? In other words, what I have doesn't necessarily mean that it's for me. We always preach that, but these billionaires prove it.
Okay.
It can't possibly be for you.
In Hebrew, the word is in charity. It's tzedakah.
Right.
What's the difference?
Well, charity means it's all mine, it's for me, but if I'm really benevolent and if I'm really generous, I'll give away some of my stuff to you. Whereas tzedakah means it was never meant for you. Deliver it to where it was meant to be delivered. You're just the middle guy.
I'll tell you a psychological challenge I've had. Is it true that the person who makes $1 million will want 2 million and the person who makes 2 million will want 4 million?
Yes.
That's the way the world was made.
That's how you get rich.
But even if the guy doesn't go into it wanting to be rich, and inheritance, he gets $1 million, he's going to want 2 million?
I hope so. Otherwise, he will spend $1 million and end up with nothing.
But it's true. It's in the Talmud. It says if you have one, you'll want 2.
Right.
There's a certain amount of society, and I'm finding it to be a bigger and bigger amount of society, who are saying, you know what, forget it. I don't want 1, and then therefore I don't want 2. Give me enough to live in an apartment, have a nice lease, have enough money to enjoy my life, and leave me alone. Are you finding that as well?
There've always been. The majority of people don't relate to wealth. It's just not the way they think. They're not. Unfortunately, they don't relate to any form of wealth. So if you're not going to be rich monetarily, can you be rich in wisdom? Can you study real hard and get rich in knowledge? Can you be rich in good deeds? Can you be rich in friends? You've got to excel in something. So the people who say, no, money is not my thing. All right, what is? Nothing? Those are the homeless. You got to be a provider in something.
I'm very abusive about myself, so I should not use me as an example because I'm always pushing to the level of what I don't think is healthy. Let's use my children because I love my children very, very much. As a father, I want to push them to grow and succeed and want more. But I also want them to enjoy their life. How do you strike that balance?
I wouldn't push my children to want more. I would push them to share what they have, regardless of what they have.
Okay, so now talk about me. Should I push myself to want more, or should I be okay with what I have and share more of it?
Something in between. You don't have to push yourself to want more, and you don't have to be content with what you have. There's a natural desire to grow. So if you're good at business, you want to grow in that. You don't have to push yourself. Just go with the flow. So yes, you should excel at whatever it is you're doing without having to push yourself. Because push sounds like you're going against the grain.
That's what you talked about in Financial Abundance a lot as well. People misunderstand business and life. God's plan is for you to make a lot of money to change the world for the better, and you should just go with the flow because it's meant to be. Stop pushing and trying to cheat the system or break the mold so that you can make money. It's meant for you to make the money. Figure out how to make the money that is natural to the way that you were made, and each person's you and their method is a different one. Yeah. Watch the video, guys. Okay. Think and Grow Rich, one of my favorite books of all time. Have you ever read the book?
No.
Have you ever heard about the book?
Nope.
Highly, highly recommend it. Not necessarily this one, because the Action Pack series. I like the original one, Think and Grow Rich, with no commentary. I think the commentary takes away. Now, today's session, well, let me go backwards. I've been into personal power for about 14 years now. And one of my favorite things that I started finding out by accident or by God's will about 10 years into personal power is that almost everything that I've learned in personal power, there is a Jewish thought that says the same thing and arguably says it even better. And again, in a previous video, we had my mom read from the Torah a certain passage. I think it was the Fred Wilson one. And Fred Wilson is a very forward thinker and has a great formula. And my mom read one of the passages that touched me as a child that I forgot about. And then I went, as life continues, and got into Fred Wilson's system. And then in my early 40s, I combined the two and saw that they were identical. So I'm just going to go through the chapters here. Our subject is making money. Imagine a college student just graduating, a yeshiva bachur just graduating, or a 30-year-old saying, I want to start a new business. And this book has several chapters. I'm just going to say the chapter heading, and what I'm going to ask you or test you is your opinion about how that chapter heading should be incorporated for him to succeed in the business he chooses. Fair? Well, not so fair, but
let's try.
Play along. Okay. The first chapter is Thoughts Are Things. Any comments?
Absolutely. In fact, if I wrote the book, I would call it Think and Grow, period. Whether it's rich or smart or strong, think and grow. Everything starts with how you think.
Give me an example, please.
I'll give you a painful example. A guy says, in marriage counseling, he says, my wife got me really angry the other day, and I lost control, and I hit her. I say, you lost control? He says, yeah, I lost control. I hit her. I said, really? You hit her with a bat? He says, are you crazy? I said, oh. So even when you lost control, you would never hit her with a bat, which means you didn't lose control. Your mind approved hitting her with your hand, It never approved hitting her with the bat. So you didn't lose control. Your mind is setting your limits. And the mind said, if she really gets you upset, hit her. But not with a bat. What are you, crazy? So you see how the mind really dictates. Even when you think you've lost control emotionally, the mind is still in control.
Good. So tell me how that relates to making money.
It relates to everything. If you think positive, if you think creative, if you think productive, that's the result you're going to get. If you think negative, if you think narrow, if you think greedy, that's what you're going to end up with.
So setting a goal of making $10 million is healthy.
Fine.
$100 million.
Why not? I don't know if it's realistic. That's a different question.
Okay, chapter 2. This is turning out much better than I anticipated. Desire.
Without desire, there is no pleasure. Anything you do has to have a certain amount of pleasure to it, because pleasure is almost synonymous with life. So, is there a life to your business? Is it alive? That depends on whether you have a passion for it, whether there's a desire. So, in addition to thinking positively, and maybe that actually comes second, so it should be chapter 2, the desire should be chapter 1.
So you got to find something you love to do.
It's got to be your passion.
But then there's certain passions that are chances of success are so low, like acting and singing. That's a very low chance of success. Would you suggest people to make a life out of acting or singing?
I'm not suggesting. If that's your passion, not a suggestion. In other words, don't do it because somebody recommended. Then it's not your passion. But the thing you have a passion for, that's a good indicator of where you should be going.
So let's take the yeshiva's bachur who's 18 years old, who's about to get married in a year. He's been in the yeshiva all his life. What passions does he have?
Well, he grew up in a house. He thinks the house is a little cramped in a bad neighborhood in the city, and he wants out. That's his passion. He wants a house in the suburbs.
So then he needs to figure out what his desire is to do to get to that passion?
Yeah, and you don't really have to figure it out. It's pretty obvious.
It is.
Your passion? Yeah. So you look at a person who has no passion, that's very sad. What do? How do you light a fire under somebody who's got no fire? That's scary.
If I may use you as an example, Rabbi, you were a teacher for many years in a yeshiva, yes?
So we can call it that.
Okay, and then you went on the speaking circuit as a lecturer throughout. You're not passionate about all the flying and going to different communities.
Oh, I am.
You are.
I hate it. I hate it with a passion.
So then why do you do it? You have no desire for all the flights. I know this is a fact. You're flying way too much for your comfort level.
Hate can be a very strong motivator. No, I hate the travel, but I love the result.
And what's your desire? What's the result?
The result is seeing people inspired with the right things and seeing the soul come out where it's been hidden or buried or neglected.
You once told me that there are different types of rabbis. One rabbi sparks and one fans the flames. Do you mind explaining that a little bit more?
There are people who are very inspirational, charismatic, and they light a fire very quickly, very intensely. But you turn your back, and it's gone. It flares up brightly, hot, and then it peters out because it wasn't fanned. There's that slow burning fire. It's not so flashy, it's not so dramatic, but it's real. And it'll last, and it'll carry over to the children and even to the grandchildren. That's the kind of inspiration we need. Not the 15 minutes of fame.
And that's what you're trying to do, go around from place to place to spark that fire that will last forever.
And the only way to do that is by reasoning, by conviction, by touching that wisdom that everybody naturally has, so that they say, oh, why didn't I think of that? Because intuitively it makes sense.
So that's your desire that makes you think about where you need to go, and that's how you grow in your influence of others?
I think that's the general rule in Chabad. So all my friends do the same.
Okay, next chapter. Faith.
I want to say this anyway, so I'll just fit it into faith, okay? We talk about free choice, right? I'm going to start a business, my choice. I'm going to produce a product, my choice. I'm going to put it out there the way I want, it's my choice. Freedom of choice. We're very proud of that, right? Freedom of choice is very limited. The freedom of choice we have applies only to moral choices, moral or immoral issues. God wants us to be good, and He gives us the freedom to be good. Beyond that, He doesn't give us any freedom. So, to be born or not, no freedom. To be strong or weak, no freedom. To be successful or not, there's no freedom. All of these things are predetermined. God decides. The only thing you have real control over is your morality. How does this apply to business? If you want to be successful, you can succeed only where you have free choice. Where you don't have free choice, you cannot be successful. So if you become rich, that's not your success. God decided you're going to be rich. It's a blessing. It's not your success. Because you didn't choose that. Or it didn't happen because you chose it. It happened because God decided He's going to entrust you with a lot of money. The only success you can claim is, I did it right. Not I did it my way. That's arrogance, that's meaningless, it's not productive at all. You do it your way, you're probably not going to succeed.
Rabbi Gordon, God rest his soul, once told me something, and I could be butchering what he says, so if I do, I apologize. But something to the effect of, work hard as if there is no God, and once you've received the rewards, know it's all from God.
In other words, take full responsibility when you're doing it, but if it succeeds, it's because God decided.
Right. So we are supposed to wake up early. We are supposed to use our best efforts. We are supposed to take the meetings with the best positive attitude. We are supposed to get business mentors and give the best service that we can. But we can't own the success. We got to believe that's a blessing. And that's
so what can you own? That's the real issue.
And what you can own is you did it the right way, namely the moral way.
You were idealistic about it. You recognized that success comes from above. It didn't turn you arrogant. It didn't make you callous. It didn't make you greedy. These things you can take credit for.
Specialized knowledge.
I hate it.
Why?
It's elitist.
Okay.
One of the differences between Egypt and the Exodus, at the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai, God said all the people should be gathered at the foot of the mountain. All the people. There were no distinctions. And that was an antidote to Egyptian knowledge. Egypt had brilliant, they called them astrologers, but really they were the scientists. And the reason they called it astrology is to keep it from the average person. So it was specialized knowledge. There were the haves and the have-nots. And that's how they maintained control over people. It's not nice. It's elitist, it's abusive, it is not democratic.
But don't you need to be an expert in your field to succeed?
Yes, but it's not yours to keep. So it's not specialized, it's just more.
But Rabbi, with all due respect, you're not like most rabbis I've met. You have a specialized ability to speak. You have specialized knowledge different than most other people I know. How can you say, well, I'm not specialized knowledge?
Because the more I know, the more obligated I am to share it, not to keep it. In other words, the objective is to unspecialize it and make it common knowledge.
Imagination.
Wow. Imagination is a real gift. Imagination breaks down all barriers. Because if you can imagine something, then you can get there, despite all odds. Because human imagination is not creative. It doesn't invent anything that doesn't exist. So if you can imagine it, then it's doable. But most people won't try because they don't have the imagination. So all great inventions, all great discoveries, all great wisdom comes from imagination.
So think and grow. Imagination is just a form of thinking that's just not bound by the realities. And that's healthy for building a business?
It's healthy for life. See, here again, business should not be treated as something besides life. Business is life, like everything else.
So just like you daven, just like you have a family, just like you go to work and you eat and you sleep, it's just something you do.
Well, it's like saying, if you're a mensch, you're a mensch in everything. If you're not a mensch, then you're probably not going to be a mensch in anything. But setting aside business as if it's some kind of a alien activity, no, it's not. You're meeting with people, you're dealing with people, you're hurting people, or you're helping people. It's life. It's not another planet.
Organized planning, and that's the final chapter.
I have no idea what that means.
Let me use an example. There are certain people where you say, hey, I have a birthday party tonight. And they say, God willing, if I can come, I'll come. And that's it. And there's certain people that you say, God willing, I have a birthday party tonight, I'd like you to come. They'll go to their calendar. They'll put in the calendar appointment. They'll put in the time. They'll put in the address of where to go. They'll see if there's a conflict and make an effort to change the conflict. They might go home a bit earlier. They might call their wives in advance to get dressed so she can come. Which way is right? Is the right way saying, God willing, if it's meant to be, it will be? I'm kind of giving you a leading question. No.
What was the name of the chapter again?
Organized planning.
Organized planning. Is that not redundant?
Is it?
Well, a plan has, if you plan, you're organized, and if you're organized, you plan.
Let's talk about Judaism. Do we believe in goal setting?
Oh, yeah.
We do.
Yes.
The Rabbi had a 1 year, 5 year, 10-year plan.
30-year.
He had a 30-year plan. And was that full of imagination, or was that within the constraints of reality?
Beyond all reason, beyond all reality. But truth.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
So define
He saw truth. In other words, he saw what could be and what should be, not only what is. Because what is isn't necessarily the end, the end of the story. So there are facts and there is truth. Not every fact is true. It's real, but it's not true. Like, the only reason people go into business is because they're greedy and they want to make money. That may be a fact, but it's not true. So the fact is what happens to be. Truth is what must be. We sometimes get lost in the facts. We forget the truth.
So what is the truth of making money?
The truth
Making a lot of money.
The truth of making money is what is meant to be will be. That's true. So to say, well, I guess I'm not meant to make money. Well, how do you know that? Well, look, I've tried this, I tried that. Look at the facts. That doesn't change the truth. So you can keep going and you persevere until you get there, which means you're not accepting fact as the final verdict. I mean, you have other examples. Most human beings are basically good.
Agreed.
No, they're not. They're horrible.
Why would you say that?
Because they are. Look at the news.
The news is only a very, very small percentage of humans.
Yeah. I would say the fact is people are selfish, petty, cruel. That's a fact. But it's not the truth. Truth is people are good. So then the question is, if that's the truth, why isn't it the fact? And if the fact is only a fact, how did that happen? How did truth and fact separate and get detached from each other? And what is a fixed world? We're all trying to fix the world, make the world a better place. How do you make the world a better place? Every fact should be true, and every truth should become a fact. So if it's true that people are basically good, then why aren't they good every day? Make the truth the fact. In today's world, when the fact surrenders to the truth, we call it a miracle. That's very sad. It shouldn't be a miracle. It should be the norm.
Rabbi, we're here about making money. How does somebody make a lot of money?
You just need to try. You don't need to guarantee it. Don't try to guarantee it, because there's no guarantee. There really isn't. All the books can tell you how to go about it. They cannot tell you how to succeed.
So success should not be the goal.
It can't be.
But we said the goal setting is okay. To say I want to make 100 million or to say I want to make 50 million is correct to do, and to imagine it and to desire it and to go after it.
And to follow all the steps that allow for it to happen. And then either it will or it won't.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.